Hi, the last of the films I'm watching as new releases of 2020 has finally rolled around, and it's Promising Young Woman, the feature directing debut from Emerald Fennell, who also wrote the script, and it stars Carey Mulligan as a young woman who embarks on a plan to seek revenge for the rape of her uh, medical student, medical school friend, her lifelong friend. Um, it's an extremely stylized film. Fennell has a very opulent, colourful, almost kaleidoscopic style in the direction. It's very bright. All of the scenes are in daylight. There's very little set at night time. There's very little that looks sinister. It's all very colourful and fluorescent, and it's totally at odds with the kind of visual scheme you might expect from a film that's about a woman taking revenge on rapists. Um, the direction is the thing that is forefront in my mind because I found the script to be not as sharp as I think many believe it to be, or many agree it to be. Um, the subtext of the film, I think, is fairly clear as she goes through her plan and things become more complex, and many of the male characters are shown to be complicit or active proponents in perpetuating a kind of rape culture. Um, but I feel that the film is it's when I see a movie, I want to see something I haven't seen before. I want to see something fresh. I want to get a new perspective on something. I previously raved about Sound of Metal, which is about a man going deaf and his involvement in the deaf community, which is something that is fresh and new to me. But the the subject of the Me Too movement and calling out rape culture and all these associated um, societal factors over the last 2 years have become quite prominent. And so this film is not really saying anything or showing anything that hasn't already been superseded or at least well trodden within culture. And this is an ongoing process. This isn't something that has to be said once and then forgotten. I completely understand that. I'm not stupid. This is something that has to be a continuous, ongoing process. But the film is, I think, positing this as though it is something completely fresh and new. And at the time the film was conceived, which I think would have been at least 3 years ago, it probably was the case. But the time it's taken for the film to be made and the time it's taken for it to actually get released, because it was supposed to have come out over a year ago, it was released in the US at Christmas and then finally trickled out only a couple of weeks ago because people were dithering over who was going to get the UK rights. And it wound up with Sky Cinema, so I had to get a free trial from Now TV to watch it. Thanks a lot for that. Thanks for making it difficult to watch the movie. Um, it's time has not been kind to this saying, "Oh, here's the thing that you haven't seen before." It's a well-made film, as I said. The direction is fantastic and original and stylized, and I'm interested in to see whatever it is that Fennell makes next. The performances are strong, given the material. Carey Mulligan in the lead role is magnetic and charismatic, but the character doesn't have a great deal of depth or very much in the way of internal conflict. She is only ever portrayed as being in the right and not in any way flawed. And although her overall mission is one of vengeance and justice against those who have done terrible, unforgivable things, it does mean that the character isn't as compelling as she could be because she isn't sufficiently complex and doesn't have any edges and cracks to grab onto as being a more plausible character. She winds up being much more of a flatter, more written, and less convincing personality. Um, there are a number of major names in supporting roles: Jennifer Coolidge, Laverne Cox, Alison, Brie, all doing fine performances. And further down the cast list, a brief cameo by Alfred Molina as a lawyer who'd been complicit in helping to brush aside a previous um, rape charge and is now overwhelmed with guilt and desperate to do something to make amends for the terrible thing he did. Clancy Brown, of all people, turns up as Mulligan's character's father, and it was nice to see him playing a kind, gentle character for a change. But overall, although it's a film that's saying things that need to be said and need to be said over and over again and must not be forgotten, I don't think that it's as good at being part of the ongoing conversation. I feel like it's it feels like it's trying to start the conversation when the conversation has been already going on for some time. Again, could just be a factor of the timing, but it doesn't have the impact that I feel it's trying to have. And that, combined with weaknesses in the script, some things that are just too implausible to occur in terms of the writing, in terms of the plot structure, and some of the characterization, it means that I think the film does fall short in terms of being one of the better films of the year. It isn't bad by any means, but it's trying to do something good. It wants to do something good, and I think if it's starting all these conversations and it's making people much more aware of these issues, then that's success. Then it has succeeded. As a film in its own right, however, I can't say unequivocally that it did.